large number of ships, and they're not very big when we had them. But,
Perfect. Awesome. Don't mean to cut you off, but hello, everybody. Welcome to NameCast. This is our podcast that posts every week on this channel. We have a very special guest with us today. You may know him as ChickenPika, and it is Sam.
Hello. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks for coming, buddy. Thanks for coming by again. This is, I think the last time we had you here was about a year ago, I think.
That might have been it. Good
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
Different location and everything.
It's been a long time.
I didn't drink beer back then.
We got myself, Nathan, and
Kevin
as a classic. So we got a great show lined up for you guys today. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. Sam talking about all the games he's playing, everything like that. We're going to be talking about the Zelda ratings, the Switch left Joycon update, No Man's Sky, and how it won a very funny award, and crowdfunding. So without further ado, let's get into the...
Housekeeping.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, we have new audio packages, and they're great. Okay, Sam, what have you been playing?
The moment I've been replaying technically, even though I haven't actually beaten it yet, is Metal Gear Solid 5. Because it's a fantastic game. I mean, the memes are a little bit better than the game itself, and the hype was fantastic. But I really do enjoy the game. The gameplay is amazing. I mean, the open world, thing, everything about it. I mean, most of the people listening to this have probably played it, but it is... I wouldn't call it a masterpiece. I think that word's slung around too much, but it's probably an 8 out of 10, and that's a very good score.
Wow. Okay, so you give a true scoring for your system. Okay.
I did come up with that off the top of my head. It might change if I think about it.
Because like on an IGN, if someone looked at an 8 out of 10, they'd be like, "This game is trash."
Yeah, see that's the thing.
Because the IGN score is so skewed.
Right, exactly. They kind of water down the 10 rating because I think they'll pretty much rate anything a 10 if it's really good. Whereas I don't rate many things a 10.
Yeah, what's a 10 in your book now?
Oh God. See, I want to say Shadow of the Colossus to appease people, but honestly, my 10. The first thing I think of is Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Believe it or not.
I told you to wear the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
You have a shirt for that?
I got it. Yeah, I got a Thousand-Year Door shirt.
That's awesome.
Last week, so
Does
I'll
it
show
fold
that
up
to
really
you
small?
after.
No, it's actually awesome. It's remember the wrestling?
Yes,
it's like all the guys from the wrestling.
That's where I am in my new playthrough. I love that bit, the glitz pit with the rock.
That game's
off.
so good.
Yeah, that is I think a 10. There's really nothing I would consider that I would take away or add to it, and that's it's close to perfect. I don't know, But
now given that, how did you feel about Super Paper Mario?
I'll be honest, I didn't really get very far in it. I thought
Really?
this is not really what I wanted and kind of abandoned it because I'm kind of like a petulant little child when it comes to those sorts of things. I'm like, oh, they changed the gameplay, garbage.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's not. I mean, I felt better about Resident Evil 4, the Resident Evil 6 than I did about that. But it's one of those things where I was just going in with expectations all the way up to the sky with Paper Mario, Super Paper Mario, and it's not really what I wanted. Keep in mind, I have actually forgotten a lot about it because I haven't played it in a very long time, so I might be overblowing in my mind what I didn't like about it.
Yeah.
I recall the story was funny.
Yeah.
And there were also these butterfly things that I thought were okay. But,
Not feeling it at all. Did you even beat that one, Kev?
Super Paper Mario?
Yes, sir.
I got to like the last part, and then it makes you do like a boss rush of all the bosses.
Yeah, I got there too.
And then I was like, I don't like this game that much. Stop playing.
I don't know. It's just the change in the combat style was really something I couldn't get into maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. Turn-based combat's fun.
Before.
Yeah, because Paper Mario combat was great with the what was it, the stage that everyone and you can interact with the audience. And at some points there were certain bosses that would absolutely screw with them, like Hooktail would eat them to regain health. And then you'd have no audience and you'd have nobody to recharge your. I want to say star power, but I don't think that's actually the term. Something appealing.
That's when you flip your guitar up, right?
I think it was.
Yes,
star power.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, it was star power too. Yeah. No, okay. Fair enough.
Nice. Now, what about Metal Gear Solid 5 do you really just find the most engaging?
Oh, God. I must admit, I really, really like the open world. Now, open world is one of those things that some people use in an incredibly praiseworthy, like in a praising sense. Some people use it as a derogatory sense. I figured, and as I was saying in the car earlier, I found that games that do it well are fantastic, and this is one of those games that does it well. So you can go around this gigantic area, which begins as Afghanistan and then starts, and then you go to Africa, and basically... kidnap people to make you better cardboard boxes, but that's not the main thing. But
Pretty much.
I like telling people that though when they've never played it because they're wondering what the hell you're talking about.
Fultoning someone away is just so funny.
It is, and then you get this, and this is like the 70s, and then you get this wormhole extractor thing, and I mean I don't.
I didn't even get the wormwon't.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah, it's a late game thing that basically what it does is if you extract someone when they're in like a small structure, the balloon won't cause someone to be alerted.
Oh, gotcha.
And the other thing is when you're trying to extract those mounted guns, and there's like a tarp above them, you can do it because the balloon doesn't get stuck.
Okay.
But it's just a minor thing, but it's kind of funny, as well as like if you can compress ashes into diamonds, why are you doing stuff to make money? And then they're like, well, okay, but our R&D budget has been eaten up by making hamburgers.
Right. Gotcha. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. Okay, now my favorite thing about the open worlds in Metal Gear Solid 5 was when you would kind of get in, and then you'd have to plan your extraction point and be like, oh shit, I got to get out, and there's a lot of guys on my tail, and it's kind of those frantic moments are the best. Yeah,
I love those very much, particularly when and you like it when when you pull things off and they all go as planned, but it's almost more fun when you screw it up and then you figure out, okay, how do I fix this, and then you manage to fix it perfectly. Whether that means killing guards and all that, or whether it means basically just laying low until it goes down. It gives you so much freedom and how to do things. Yeah. Personally, I like dropping vehicles on enemies, but that's just kind of like Battlefield back in like Battlefield 2, and I assume the other ones where you could you use a Jeep and then just basically call one down and it would kill someone.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that was a tactic.
It was rare, but you could do it. It was funny.
And it was awesome. Nice. Cool. So now, what else we got here? You're talking about this Valhalla something. Oh,
yeah. Valhalla Cyberpunk Bartender action.
That's
there may be something.
Name.
Yeah, and it's actually the Valhalla part is mostly made up partially
ones. Yeah, it's not even
exactly.
Valhalla. It's
yeah,
like
I didn't even.
H
yeah, exactly.
411
something like that. It's one of those, and it's Cyberpunk Bartender action. There's very little action in the game. I need to point that out. It's mostly a visual novel. Do you think everybody will know what that means, or should I explain it?
Yeah, explain it.
I might as well. It's a little bit boring, but I'll explain it. A visual novel is essentially a novel that you click through. That's basically the gist of it. And but there's a little bit of gameplay in the mixing of different drinks, and apparently if you mix them in different
you're actually
drinks,
a bartender.
You are, yeah. You're a bartender named Jill, who seems to, is an excellently funny protagonist, and mostly just listens to other people's problems while
like
and it's primarily primarily it's just talking, but the writing is so good.
Okay.
And this is only a minor spoiler, but there's a girl who comes in called Streaming Chan, who basically streams her life 24/7, and oh my god, she's annoying because she has like this Twitch text that goes across the screen all the time whenever she's in. Anyway, but it's a very, very funny game, and and I mean, it has to do with actually making drinks, and it's the gameplay is very light. So if you're interested in like a narrative-based storyline with a great deal of humor and kind of a cyberpunk setting, then it's definitely something that you want to check out.
What length of playtime are we talking about here?
I'll be honest, I haven't finished it yet, but I put probably around 2 hours into it. I mean, it seems to be a meaty game because I mean, each the save points are at breaks and when you go home, and I mean. The way I see it, based on what I've seen so far and based on all the different things you can unlock, like all these different things you can buy for the apartment or whatever, just a minor thing, it seems like maybe about 5 hours or so, which I may be wrong, but I mean, and it's about one of those $10 things. I think I got it cheap in a sale, but I mean, it's one of those indie things where you can grab pretty cheap in any kind of sale. Okay, I definitely recommend it if you like narrative games.
They're my favorite, actually.
Good, brilliant.
Very cool.
I still haven't played Life is Strange, and people who
I hear that's good.
Or Gone Home. I'll be honest. A lot of these
Gone Home's fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of these
there's a new one that's apparently doing super super well and everybody's loving, but it's getting overshadowed by all these super awesome games coming out. Night in the Woods, I think it's called.
Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah.
Actually, tell me about it.
Yeah, people are loving the crap out of it.
Really?
I don't really know much about it. Like, I kind of want to go into it super blind.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently it's like fucking awesome. Like, it's like it goes for a similar tone as a Life is Strange.
Okay.
But like nails it way better because like Life is Strange is a little bit like teenager drama.
Yeah, I had thought of that.
Dialogue writing stuff at times.
See, I own Life is Strange, but I haven't gotten to get it yet. But yeah, no, it's one of those things, as I say, you see it cheap on Steam and you're like, oh, I'll have that. And then your list of Steam games, because I think most of this Humble Bundle, I have about around 400 games and I played maybe 50 of them.
Holy shit.
And most of those 50 I haven't beaten.
Yeah.
Because I just get obsessed with certain games for a very long period
I get
of time.
You.
So.
And I'm fine with that too. Honestly, like, especially with big games, if I sink like 20 hours into it, I'm good. Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a completionist, so I don't feel the need to get everything in it. And as far as like getting my best dollar value out of a game, if I'm having fun with it, then it's worth it for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if I buy a game for like $5 and I get an hour of enjoyment, well, no, that's a bit little. But
Okay.
if I buy a game for about $5 and I get maybe 3 hours out of enjoyment, I feel like I've gotten my money's worth. Like, and I just don't need to play it again if I don't want to.
Right.
But some games, I feel like I bought a game called Hearthstone, I think it is, and it's kind of an indie game that you get for $3, and whenever $30, sorry. And when I see a game like that and I don't know anything about it, I have to be quite interested in it, and I am. I can't get my head around the controls, but I will have to keep playing it because, as I say, it's about $30, and I do need to justify the cost.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
I think it's called Hearthstone. It's basically one of these like builder simulators where you have these little useless morons that you have that come to this new land with you. You choose an area and they fend off monsters. I don't know if it's not an RTS, but it's similar in that you just order them to do stuff. It's kind of like Goblin Commander, those old games, but without a lot of combat.
Yeah.
But it remains to be seen whether I like it or not because I basically just played it and I was like, I'm going to go do other things.
Okay, nice. Now I see another game on your list here that is kind of like the tying link between all of us, and that is Stardew Valley. What are you thinking about it?
See, the thing is, I am a big Harvest Moon fan.
Yeah.
All I ever wanted when I was younger was to play the N64 version, but I never saw it. I never saw it in the store because I got to
Do you know what I found out? That just went up on the Virtual Console store for the Wii U.
Oh my god!
So yeah, I want to pick that up and play it. Once I'm like done enough with Stardew Valley, I have no idea how long that's going to take.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Another thing I wanted to see go up on the Virtual Console store, a bit of a tangent, is the Banjo-Kazooie games.
Those are not available on there?
No,
maybe they are.
I don't think they will be either.
No,
Rare's
they're
dead,
available on like
isn't
the Xbox
Yeah, because
store.
there's a
Yeah,
rare
that's because it's
replay
a-
collection.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh well, but so actually, I do have an Xbox 360, but if it's the Xbox One, I don't think I'll ever.
Oh,
need
yeah,
anything.
no, I think I downloaded mine on the Xbox
Yeah,
360,
there's like
I believe.
arcade
really?
versions
Yep.
of it.
Interesting.
Yep.
But yeah, no, because we have a 360 at the apartment. But right, sorry, Stardew Valley.
No, that's okay. No,
it's one of those
actually,
things. Oh, yeah.
with you speaking about that, I just want to ask you, what do you think about ukulele then?
Oh god, I'm gonna get it right away, and it's very, very rare. Particularly once I became more of a PC gamer. No judgment anywhere. You know, buy a console, enjoy it. I just bought a Switch, for example.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But it's one of those things where I rarely buy a game for full price, and I rarely buy it when it just comes out. Which means that if I use Uplay, then I won't buy a game for years because the price never drops. Anyway, I just need to insert one dig at Uplay, but it's better than Origin. Anyway, but no, the thing is. I rarely buy a game when it comes out unless I'm massively excited by what it is. So, for example, a non-online Elder Scrolls game or a new Fallout game are one of those things that I'll be excited enough to just drop the money right away, even though I know there will be glitches. I'll be able to deal with them, hopefully. But with ukulele, I am going to buy that immediately, and I'm not sure whether I'll buy it for the Switch or the PC. I think I'll buy it for the Switch, frankly, because it's
Really?
a 3D platformer, which I absolutely love the idea
Can
of.
take on the go.
Yes, yeah, and it's something that I'm really interested in playing on, like a controller that is clearly quite optimized for it. Whereas otherwise, I'd be playing it on an Xbox controller, which is excellent for the PC. But some games are clearly it's kind of an afterthought added. So I'm interested in because with 3D platformer you need a lot of pretty good control.
Yeah.
And I am, and since I do have a choice, I may as well buy it on the Switch. But I'm very excited for what it is because I am a huge Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie fan, and we do not mention the other one with the Lego cars.
You know what? Now, okay, I'm just
go ahead.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Now, this may totally change your opinion of me entirely.
Possibly.
That is my favorite Banjo game.
You monster.
Nuts and bolts.
I want off this podcast. No, but to be fair, I actually haven't played it. I refuse to play it out of protest, which is one of those really boring kind of hipstery things that means that my opinion of the game actually holds no value. So to be fair, my opinion of you hasn't changed.
Okay, fair enough.
I still think you're a jerk.
Hey man, I am a bit of a jerk. It's kind of what I do.
All right, so am I.
I don't know. I never had a Nintendo console growing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the first one I actually got was when we knew each other way back in the day when I got my Wii. That was the first one I ever got.
Yeah.
So so I don't know. It never really had any resonance with me. And when
enough.
I went to go back and play them on the Xbox, I was like, these are cool, but I like this one where you can make the car.
But see, it's one of those things where if you go back and play something, so for example, I wish I had gotten to the Elder Scrolls with Morrowind, because I went back to Morrowind and I'm thinking, okay, but I'm hitting someone and I'm not hitting them. How is this working? So if I had gotten to it with Morrowind, I would have finished the game. And if they ever, stop remastering Skyrim and remaster something that needs it, like Morrowind or Oblivion, I will go back and play Morrowind and I'll love it. But it's one of those things where if you get to something too late, it's kind of ruined in a certain way by not, and people say graphics don't matter. They kind of do.
Yeah, they kind of do to a point.
Why would we keep improving the graphics of our games if they didn't matter at all? No, don't get me wrong. A lot of indie games, like, as I say, Valhalla, go for a more kind of a 16-bit aesthetic, and some of them go for an 8-bit aesthetic, like Undertale. And, that has no bearing on the popularity of a certain game. Look at the popularity of Undertale.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, but it's one of those things where if you go back and you see the kind of clunky technological limitations of the time, it can be charming, but it can also be kind of annoying.
Well, speaking upon that, I mean... when talking about Stardew Valley, that game looks like it could have been on those. I mean,
yes, yeah.
I mean, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. It probably couldn't have run on those consoles given all the systems, everything in it. I wouldn't think. What would be the technical limitations there?
Visually, it would not look the same on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I think it probably could have happened.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So now, going back to Stardew Valley. Segue. What do you think of it?
Oh, it's so good. I absolutely love it. Now, I must admit, I haven't gotten incredibly far in it. I've only started exploring the dungeon, and at this point, that's all I want to do, because the dungeon in Harvest Moon DS, which a lot of people who've played it don't remember, or at least they don't believe me. No, see, that's exactly what they say.
Rune Factory is great.
I would remember if I had played Rune Factory. I've never played Rune Factory. It was a Harvest Moon game for the Nintendo DS that had a dungeon. I may be misremembering it, but I know that it was a Harvest Moon game.
I think you might be right. I think they may have put it in for the one before they started doing
Yes.
Rune Factory.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, let's double down on this.
See, that's the thing, because I think I might have been that. Yeah, look it up. I'd be really interested to find out if I am. Actually, I do have a bizarre implanted memory, because I remember really loving the dungeon. You just get a sword, and it's weird, because it's not what you'd expect for a Harvest Moon game, and the one for the DS was just fantastic. But yeah, so that's the thing. I really do like Stardew Valley, because, as I say, it's basically another Harvest Moon game, and yeah, I think someone asked Natsume, or someone, they just said, oh great, we inspired people, fantastic.
Yeah,
because they seem like total bros.
Yeah.
If this were like some other company like EA or one of EA's subsidiaries, they'd probably try to sue them.
Right. Yeah, and the fantastic thing about that game, it's literally all made by one guy.
Yeah, I heard that. It just took him a really long time.
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, it took him
and
5 years.
80 hours
He
a
made
week.
fucking everything.
Immense undertaking. I don't actually know what goes into creating a game, but I can just imagine.
A lot of art, a lot of music, a lot of program. Like,
exactly.
It's insane.
He did everything. The art, the story. I mean, he didn't.
Yeah.
I heard about that, and it boggled my mind.
Story in the game too.
That he managed to do this.
So many events and stuff.
Yeah, and really impressive. I'm really enjoying it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah, Kevin is enjoying it on a different level. You started sending me pictures the other night of spreadsheets that you're making to optimize your. Get into it, Kev.
Well,
you tell me about that, because that sounds interesting.
So I'm just starting out my second year, and so now I have money to work with. I have the stuff I did last year, so now I'm like trying to figure out, okay, with what I have, what can I do this next year? How much money can I make? Which, I mean, spreadsheets can give you that answer.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, I went to the spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I figured out a spreadsheet to, do a bunch of different things for me, so I can input, how many kegs I want. Okay, well, how long is it going to take me to get that many kegs? And how many plants will I be able to grow with that many kegs? How many plants will I be able to grow? How many plants will I be able to make use of, anyways, with the number of kegs I have, with the number of kegs I want.
Gotcha.
And can do that stuff for what I currently have as well. So it's just kind of min-maxing type of stuff, And growing beer is not the min-max strategy. It's not the best thing you can do.
No.
But I don't know. I don't think I've ever really been someone to go for the absolute best strategy. I like using really good strategies that still kind of are fun to me.
Yeah.
The idea of making a shit ton of beer and running a brewery, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I love that.
Yeah, and I'm doing the exact same strategy too, except come summer 2, I'm going to make my way over to the Oasis and I'm going to get myself some Starfruit, and I am then going to make some fantastic Starfruit wine, and I'm very excited for it. I'm hoping that I can raise enough money to be able to then produce casks that I can then age the wine in my basement to sell for millions and make so much money and just be like Scrooge McFucking Duck, man. I am so excited.
I want this spreadsheet, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do the work myself. But I'll be honest, I don't judge you for that, because I did plan on paper. It wasn't a spreadsheet. The Perfect Farm and Slime Rancher before I got bored of it. It's a fun, cute little game. But Stardew Valley, I'm really interested in seeing how you can make the most money possible, because, I want to make the most money possible.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? It's so
nice.
One thing I love about it, by the way, is how gigantic your farm can be. You just look at all this
humongous,
enormous space you have to clear out all the rocks and trees and whatnot, and you marvel at how am I going to need all this space. Eventually, you'll need all this space.
Yeah.
But it seems to be one of those games that would have an excellent progression to it, where you're like, okay, first I have like 2 rows. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you don't have to stick to that like C system that you do with Harvest Moon, because you can walk on your crops without it's not an immobile space. But anyway,
not all crops you can walk on.
Oh, okay. And not
some
when
that,
they're
like,
not when
you have
they're
to block.
I think not when
like
they're
something
growing.
like hops, whereas you have to make a post for it to go up. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So
And
you can't
presumably
walk on
tomatoes.
that.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, tomatoes as well. Or
But yeah, with
grapes or
Harvest
something.
Moon, I remember that you had to do a kind of a optimizing system where it's like a C and then another C, where like a plus in the middle, in order to have the best. Yeah, but no, it is a great game. Interesting characters. I still haven't. There's one of them that I still haven't met for some reason. Like
Really?
I'm still on that first quest where I have to meet all of them. And even at the festival, Egg Festival. Easter analogy. I didn't actually meet the person that I'm supposed to meet. They may come later on in the game, like with certain things. But
There's a few that are hard to find.
yeah.
It's kind of weird. The quests in that game kind of fit in like a weird spot where it's like you don't really need to do them. They just get you some money.
Yeah.
If you do. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm on to my 2nd year now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And I just got married.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
To
Who'd you
Leia.
meet?
Congratulations.
Leia? Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's really cool actually though. Like she has her own little like room in the house now too that just like magically appered off to the side.
That's hilarious.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny too because like so she's really artistic and she has like this kind of just this kind of a goofy kind of style. to her.
Yeah.
And like her room in the house is like that too. It's got this like silly wallpaper. It's got like a really kind of roughed up floor kind of thing. That's not the style of my house.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
My house has really kind of like tight, dark hardwood and flat colored walls.
Yeah.
And like just really like kind of nice and contemporary looking.
She's clashing with your feng shui.
Yeah, it's one of those things. If you ever played Animal Crossing a lot, you wouldn't be as jarred because you go into one room and it's like, okay, there's this theme, and another one it's completely different. It's like there's this old world theme, and then you go in, it's
Yeah.
robots. Why would you do this to your house?
Tom Nook is a bastard.
Oh God, I have this theory that he's like the mafia in that game.
He's got to be the mafia because it's like I finally finished off my debt.
Yes.
I'm just gonna add something to your house then. What the
No,
fuck?
please don't, Tom Nook. I didn't ask for this.
I don't want to be in debt. Like
Exactly. I want to be free from you and your evil cronies.
yeah, I remember playing that game for the first time. It was like on a DS or something, and I was like,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, my objective is to get out of debt. That was my mentality
that's
going
the main
into
objective
it.
at the beginning.
So I'm like, cool. So I pay it off, and then as soon as I do, he's like, I added more to the house. I'm like, fuck this. I closed the DS and never played it again.
Oh wow. But no,
I was like, what an asshole.
Yeah, he is an asshole. And the interesting thing is, by the way, that Tanuki, the actual, do you know this? That the actual beast, Japanese kind of thing he's based on is not a raccoon, it's a Tanuki, which is kind of a...
That's like the suit in Mario, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Same
it's,
idea.
but the actual mythology around it is that they attack using their ball sack. I'm not kidding.
Yep.
And they also live in a house that they create. You're seeing the problem here. That he's in real estate, and Tanuki live in a house that they create using their testicles. So there's a problem we have here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man.
I must admit, I don't feel richer for having known that.
What I need to know now is how massive are their testicles that they decide to use them as
They're
weapons?
immensely elastic, is the idea. And I don't know why the Japanese would look at a raccoon and be like, yeah, this guy can do that. I mean, for me, it'd just be like, he's a trash ninja. That's all I would think, looking at it. I call them trash pandas in some corners of the internet.
Trash
Yeah.
pandas. That's
Trash
good.
pandas. It's like the koala bears being evil drop bears that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
ravage the Australians.
That's hilarious,
Not
man.
as if there weren't enough to ravage the Australians.
Yeah, really.
We
Oh.
live on a continent that wants you dead. But anyway, no, it's I've always loved the Animal Crossing games, and I'm hoping
Nice.
there's a new one on the Switch.
Nice. Yeah, hopefully.
Because there wasn't one on the Wii U. I don't think. I haven't kept up with the Wii U.
Yeah, and the biggest thing about the Switch right now is its library, and it's pretty lacking, but what it does have
Yeah.
is Zelda Breath of the Wild. And what do you think of that, Kev?
Yeah.
So to be clear, just because your segue did not make it clear, we're playing it on the Wii U, not the Switch. But they're pretty much the same game, so
God.
should all be fine. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So normally I'm not a big fan of the open world games.
No.
'Cause, like
I am. But
I need a little more direction.
Yeah.
And kind of motivation to keep playing and stuff. Otherwise, I just kind of get bored and just never turn it on again.
Yep. Gotcha.
But for some reason, Breath of the Wild is like really keeping me in there,
Okay.
and I've been enjoying it quite a lot. I still need to play more. I've been very addicted to Stardew Valley
Yeah.
in a way
Yeah.
that is hurting my other games experiences. But yeah, Breath of the Wild, it's really really cool, and like all my freaking coworkers are into it.
Yeah.
There's so much talk at the office about it. And yeah, so I've heard a lot about like, what kind of happens in the game and like
Oh, so you
how
had
it
some things
expands
spoiled?
and stuff. And, not really super spoiled.
Yeah.
I think it's all stuff that you're kind of presented with early enough.
Okay.
Just
Fair
kind
enough.
of
Go
how
ahead.
the game works.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I have my Switch. It said UPS because I told them specifically don't leave anything in the front. I live on a street that isn't necessarily a bad street. It's just a street where everything gets stolen. So
Well, you wouldn't want your Switch to get stolen.
particularly when it's a Switch-sized box. At the moment, this is one of those phenomenon things. Particularly
Exactly.
considering Nintendo has been doing that thing that they always do, where they intentionally short stock everything.
Yeah.
Now the Wii U didn't seem to be hurt by this because the Wii U's initial sales were terrible. But it's one of those things. It's Nintendo's horrible naming conventions because they release so many different versions of the same console, including like the Wii Mini, which I believe was only released in Canada. It was test marketed here, and it had a somewhat decent reception. But outside of Canada, nobody has a Wii Mini or whatever it's called.
Really?
And then there's
I wish I knew
the
that.
DS
I
Lite,
bought
the
one.
DS whatever. So people I assume people thought that the Wii U was another version of the Wii.
Well, it's a
because
terrible name.
it is an awful name. The Wii was a bad name. I mean, every one of their test versions is better. The GameCube isn't bad. The Dolphin was better, I think.
Yep.
The Revolution was a great name.
Yeah.
And then they chose the Wii, and I don't know. Oh, the Nintendo NX, that kind of sucked. To be fair,
It did kind of suck.
Actually, I think the Switch is actually they have actually bucked the trend of making the name that they go with.
Yeah.
now a
Yeah,
little
glad
bit
they
better.
switched that up.
Ha
Yeah, no, I think the Switch is a great name. But the Wii U, it seems like I feel like a lot of the general population, because I tend to get lost in this echo chamber of, everyone thinks about games the same as I do. Well, no, not everybody looks as deeply into games as I do. And me and my friends, you know what I mean? So they're like, I guarantee you ask a parent and they'll be like, oh, did you hear about the Wii U? Oh, is that like an add-on for the Wii?
Well, yeah.
Exactly. Like, I don't know why they didn't call it like the Super Wii or something.
See,
or
I thought
that would make great sense.
Well, yeah, exactly. Super Nintendo. They haven't done a super thing in a very long time.
Yeah.
Or just have how many bits? Because bit isn't actually an actual measurement of anything, is it?
No.
It's just that thing that they chose. It's like the blast processing thing, which in reality was just like a difference in megahertz, but that's not going to sell consoles. But yeah, the Wii U, it's a shame because it actually, despite the fact it doesn't seem to have many games, it actually is a pretty good console. I've been playing it, and
I've heard that.
yeah, particularly for games like Mario Party, where now don't get me wrong, I haven't played that, but apparently it is good. It has a lot of like 3 versus 1 because of course with the gamepad and the other controllers.
Yeah. Makes sense.
The only thing that I really wanted out of it, and unfortunately because of the actual hardware of it, it cannot deliver it, is a reboot of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, where instead of using the Game Link cable to a GBA, you would instead use 4 gamepads. But unfortunately, that's not how the console works.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to see that because Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles is actually one of my favorite games.
Well, wouldn't that be great on the Switch then?
I think. Well, see. Oh, you can connect different Switches, can you?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
See, I know almost nothing about the Switch. I only know the only thing I thought of is, do I play Breath of the Wild on a new console or do I buy a Wii U? And then I decided I think I'll probably buy a new one. See, that's what I'm using it for. I'm using it as a Breath of the Wild machine. That's it.
Yeah.
I feel like you're not in the minority. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. A lot of people were like, "Yeah, no, I'm gonna pay for this." And then if I finish Breath of the Wild and it's a DLC, apparently there's a season pass. Is what I've heard.
Really?
What I've heard from a roommate. I'm not entirely sure. I say that in a
Yeah, there's
echo
like
chamber.
a DLC season pass
See,
thing. that
I don't like
unlocks
the
you
idea of a
extra
season
stuff.
pass. I like the idea of a Game of the Year edition, which has all the DLC. But I mean, with Fallout New Vegas, for example, the season pass is definitely worth it. But we obviously don't know that at the time that it's a season pass. Once it becomes the Game of the Year, you're like, oh, okay, this has a fantastic arc and it leads up to a final conclusion, and it's great.
Yeah.
Whereas for Fallout 4, apparently the DLC has been pretty much massively disappointing. Is what I've heard.
I've heard that.
Yeah. Fallout 4 is a great game, but it's not New Vegas. So anyway.
Right. Oh, big fan of New Vegas, eh?
I am. It's my favorite Fallout game by far. A lot of people go for 3, just like a lot of people go for Ocarina of Time. But I've been meeting more people who are both, interested in New Vegas and other people who are more interested in Majora's Mask. It's one of those kind of dichotomy things that people. You meet different people on different sides in different times of your life. It's weird, but New Vegas is what an amazing game. But the problem is I think one of the reasons people didn't like it so much is that it was more riddled with glitches than anything Bethesda's ever done at the time.
Yeah,
and they're weird game breaking ones. Like,
that was Obsidian, right?
Sorry. They needed, for example, in order to get to the New Vegas Strip at the beginning on the console versions, at least on the PS3 version, you needed an old cowboy hat. You needed to be wearing that in order to get past basically a screen crash. And I'm not kidding. It's a weird thing that got past it. But
very weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. But it is actually, in terms of story and gameplay and all that, it is actually my favorite of the Fallout games by far.
Now you said something in there that really intrigued me. You prefer Majora's Mask over
Ocarina of Time. Yes, I do.
Yet, for someone who loves like open worlds, it feels like Majora's Mask is kind of...
Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. One of the things that I love so much about Majora's Mask is that it's inexplicably dark. It's very strange, particularly coming off of Ocarina of Time. Now, don't get me wrong. Ocarina of Time had its moments of, darkness, but Majora's Mask, I mean, look at the mask transformations, man. They scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then there's the impending doom, and you look up and you see this moon, and you're like, oh my god, why is this in my Zelda game? And particularly going back to it as an adult, I can appreciate how. I'll just full disclosure, I've actually never beaten Ocarina of Time, believe it or not.
I barely played it.
See, that's the thing. But Majora's Mask, and then there's the mask collecting system, and I must admit, with my ADHD, I find that it being able to just abandon one collection quest to another. This is one of the reasons I like open world games, and I'm not denying that or disguising it. That it is the part of the fact that I don't have to do the main quest if I don't want to. So, for example, I probably put about 700 hours into Oblivion before I even got more than halfway through the main quest. I'm not kidding. It was about 700 hours. Yeah, oh yeah. And on different save files, don't get me wrong. I didn't.
I thought you meant all in one save file.
Yeah, at a certain point, because I like to create different, and even in Skyrim, where you can technically switch it up, I just like to create new ones. I do have a mod on PC that allows me to basically just change my character right away, but it does also break the game, so I don't use it. So yeah, but no, I mean, that's one of the reasons I like Obsidian games is that, or is it Obsidian or Bethesda?
Obsidian made that particular game, but Bethesda is like the parent.
Right, so Bethesda, that's one of the reasons I like. Oh, except for Wet, I played a bit of the Wet demo, and I was like, I'm not gonna buy this.
Right.
But anyways, so it's one of those things where I just love open world games as long as they're done well. If it feels like a giant empty world with nothing in it, and people have leveled that criticism against the Far Cry games, and I don't really see where they're coming from. But anyway.
Wait, what is the criticism exactly?
Is that Far Cry is basically a giant open world with nothing in it, is what I've heard from people, like just personally. And I don't see where that's coming from. First off, the world is beautiful, and exploring it is a joy, particularly with all the animals.
Yeah.
And, the eagles that just swoop down and kill people. And I mean, it's a very...
The fuck you up.
Yeah, exactly. And particularly in Far Cry 4, I mean, there's bears and stuff, and you can basically summon them by throwing meat. And I don't know if that's how wild animals work. But
one of my favorite parts of that game is just like, okay, so you finally get into the open world, and it's like, okay, time to get the best bow, time to get the best whatever, all your stuff, and you're just hunting down bears and you're hunting down sharks
and rhinos.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fucking awesome.
This giant rhino, Kardakon, I think his name is, where you where it's kind of like almost a scripted scene where you get to this bridge and he plows through this enormous line of cars, and you're like, oh god, how am I going to kill this thing? And it's really it's quite amazing, the hunting quests. I must say though that Far Cry 4, while it would have had a greater villain than pretty much any other series, I don't think it had a greater villain than Far Cry 3. And I mean Voss, by the way.
Oh, Far Cry 3.
Hoyt was boring, but
he was
Hoyt was more evil, I think. But Voss is just one of the best villains.
Well, the thing about Far Cry 3 is they lucked out with Voss so hard. I mean, that's Michael Mando, and he is a fantastic actor, and they really caught him at the beginning of his career.
The performance was unbelievable.
Oh, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. I mean, do you watch Better Call Saul? He's fantastic.
No, I've never heard of it.
It's if you know Breaking Bad, it's
I've heard of
the prequel to Breaking Bad.
Oh, sorry, I said I've heard of Breaking Bad. It's more than I've heard of Breaking Bad. I haven't seen it, but I know a lot about it. Yeah. And everybody keeps pestering me to see it because apparently
it's quite good. I do have a massive poster of Walter White right behind you there.
Oh, you do? I didn't notice that.
All hail the king.
Didn't notice that.
I'm a bit of a fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if Kevin, do you have anything more to say about Zelda Breath of the Wild?
Oh, right. Yes, that's what we were talking about. Then we got onto Breaking Bad. And
you're great at tangents. It's the best.
Oh, yes. I never shut up.
I'm a big fan.
Good.
Kevin's just like quietly sitting over there like, oh, God, will they ever stop talking?
He's the kind of person I like to surround myself with. People who like to just listen to me talk. Oh, really?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay, now you don't like Far Cry. Is that because of the open world?
Yeah.
Now, what about Zelda's open world do you feel is really keeping you engaged?
It's directed, but also like even just doing little side things are very, very rewarding.
Yeah.
And not in a sense that like, every little thing makes you feel more powerful or like has purpose behind it, but like it's fun to do those side things on their own. Yeah. Whereas like in most other open world games, and I think Far Cry is particularly bad for this, is you can be like, oh hey, let's go try and do this silly little thing, and then nothing silly happens.
Right.
And then you're just
Fair
like,
enough.
oh, I guess that was a waste of time.
Right. Gotcha.
And like, enough of those kind of like, oh, I just wasted my time moments build up in a game, and you just stop playing it.
That's fair, to be honest.
But
a lot of it just gives you money.
Okay, I get you. Now, my question, kind of for maybe both you guys, even though you haven't played it yet, Sam. Now, how much of this is really just running off of nostalgia? Because Zelda Breath of the Wild is getting great ratings all around the board.
Yeah.
Everyone's loving the shit out of this game. But it gets so much from sometimes doing so little. It can do something as simple as make that treasure noise. And it brings a smile to your face and a twinkle to your eyes because you remember the classic Zelda games. But what's it really doing to achieve that? Not much. It's just kind of standing on the shoulder of its previous games, which is fine. That's how franchises work. I understand that. But does it make it a better game?
Well, I think one thing that's really interesting about Breath of the Wild is it is probably the least nostalgia-filled Zelda game ever.
It still has the sights and sounds.
Breath of the Fresh Air.
So few of the sounds reused, and so few of the music reused. Like, there's a decent bit. Like, don't get me wrong, it'll still feel and sound like Zelda, but compared to like the other games, like they reused so little bit, and even like the whole gameplay style has changed too. So it feels like this super like fresh breath of air into Zelda. Breath of the Wild.
I already made that joke, but nobody heard me.
I didn't even hear it.
That's all right.
Oh, sorry,
you can listen to it later and be incredibly underwhelmed.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kind of nice, and obviously the game would not perform the way it is if it wasn't The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the VIP that it is.
Yeah, there's a big context to it, and it's like, I think what the brand is doing to it that other games wouldn't get is just keeping some sort of mystery alive. And that you're like, how did Hyrule get to be this way?
Right.
Because people are attached to Hyrule.
Yes, yeah.
Right, it's their place. They want to know, like, how did Ganon fuck it up so bad?
Yeah, Calamity Ganon. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Saved.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I felt the same way about the Wind Waker, which is actually at the moment my favorite Zelda game. A lot of people,
Really?
they
I
don't
agree.
they don't feel the same way, but because they dislike the sailing.
I'm wearing
I'm
a
thinking,
Wind Waker
what's wrong
shirt
with
right
you?
now.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of patience, but at the same time, the sailing didn't try my patience. I found it to be
It was relaxing.
particularly because of the music. I absolutely
Yeah.
love it. Like I have that stuck in my head pretty much all the time.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something I need to see my psychiatrist about, frankly. But no, it's one of those things I absolutely loved. But to be fair, if you like kind of open world games, and the one thing that I think everybody has a problem with, except for me, is the Triforce hunt. I've never. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was younger, it didn't really occur to me that there could be like bad games or even bad parts of games, even as old as the Wind Waker. Like I was just like, okay, this is fun, great. But the Triforce hunt, I must admit, now that I think of it, might have been a bit of a slog. But either way, great game.
Well, what I liked about the Triforce Hunt, just to continue this tangent,
continue.
is it forced you to do the thing that was fun about sailing around.
Yeah.
It made you just sail around to a bunch of different places and like just find stuff on the way, which is actually really what a lot of the Breath of the Wild is. It's like, hey, go over to this place far away.
Yeah.
You'll find a bunch of shit on the way. It's pretty fun.
Nice.
The Triforce Hunt was just forcing you into doing a lot of that. But the thing is, like, if you were just trying to blast through the story, then yeah, it's going to feel like a slog.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're actually playing the game to enjoy it and have some fun experiences during, then the Triforce Hunt was awesome. That's when you sailed around the whole place and found all the islands and went on all these adventures and stuff.
Yeah, because I feel like I spent a lot more time on that segment of the game because that was a time when everything is opened up.
Yeah.
You have the option to look for the Triforce, and there's this kind of thing in the game where you're like, oh, you need to hurry up. But I mean, that's a story element. If they give you a chance to screw around, you will.
Yeah.
And I found that was when I discovered every single island and mastered that Fishman minigame where I shoot him repeatedly, and apparently he likes it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know what you're talking
You're
about.
supposed to shoot him with arrows as kind of a back massage, and I think he's insane, but he's a man-fish, so.
The old Joffrey special. Nice. So now a game I've been playing, because we're actually still doing housekeeping.
Oh, yes.
Sick. Is Horizon Zero Dawn. Now it kind of falls in that open world thing we've been talking about pretty much all episode. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic. You're familiar with this game?
Actually, no. I may have heard the name, but that's about it,
Okay.
I'm afraid.
I'll set it up for you.
Please do.
It's in the future. You play as a woman named Aloy, and it's like caveman times, except there's giant fucking robotic dinosaurs.
I'm sold.
I know, right?
That is so awesome.
I swear to God, you can just ride on the back of like a giant brontosaurus. It's pretty sick.
Okay, I gotta get this now.
It's pretty sick. Yeah, it's exclusive for the PS4, and it is.
Fine, I have PS4.
I'm very happy with it. It was made by Guerrilla Games.
Okay.
And they'd been making Killzone games for the longest time.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And then this is a total departure from that. I mean, I talked about it a lot last episode, but I'm still digging it. I'm still having a lot of fun with it, and its story has hooked me in a way that I really didn't expect.
Nice.
Yeah, really good story in the game, and just great gameplay elements and a lot of fun. And I'd like to talk about it more, but we're running out of time, and I got to get on to the topics of everything else. Also, something I've been doing a lot of lately is yoga, and I'm having a lot of fun with it because I'm a hipster douchebag.
Are you doing hot yoga?
Yes, actually,
Really?
I did it literally just before I picked you up.
'Cause that sounds like torture to me, frankly.
It is way more, I don't know. Man, the girls in there, though.
Oh, fair enough. It's got to be healthy, too, man. Like, there's no way around
There's got to be
it.
some benefits to it.
To be fair, if it's that torturous, there's got to be something nice about
Yeah,
it.
I'm doing a marathon in end of May, and I
Well
got to
done.
get in shape for it. So I'm kind of like, I'm using yoga as a rest period between my training
Fair
days.
enough.
In hopes that I don't get injured. Anyway.
See, I should train for the military, but I just eat pizza and drink beer, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
The best
No,
training.
totally fine. Down for one of another audio packages. This is a good one.
Let's get into it.
So we're going to get
Very
into the
nice.
main topics of the show. And we're starting off with Zelda Ratings, Kev. Now, let me know about this. What's going on here? What's up?
Zelda Breath of the Wild has a 98% or something like that.
That's
on
fucking
Metacritic.
insane.
That's
That's
pretty amazing.
insane.
Highest
Frankly.
rating game ever.
Wait, seriously?
Seriously.
That's wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
The critical praise for it is
It's ridiculous.
everywhere. It's awesome. Yeah, it's really awesome to see something so popular, and it's kind of funny too because it's coming out at a time that there is a shit ton of games with high 90s or at very least low 90s
Yeah.
ratings.
We're getting a lot of good games right now.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah.
This is a good period.
fantastic.
Fantastic period. I mean,
Yeah.
we just got Nier Automata, we got Horizon Zero
Yes,
Dawn, we got
yeah,
Zelda
I
Breath of
gotta
the
get
Wild,
Nier.
we got Mass Effect coming out later this month. I mean, it's
Oh God, is that this
a-
month?
Yes.
Oh, I
Yep.
can't wait.
It is a good time for gaming right
and
now.
I got to get Nier Automata because everybody's raving about this Android
yeah,
girl's butt.
maybe at Platinum too. Looks really cool.
Yeah, Platinum Games apparently now has a budget, which it never seems to have had before with the Drakengard and the Nier things. And it's
Yeah.
it's amazing now that people are actually looking into this franchise. And I need to start playing the earlier ones like Nier and the Drakengard series.
Yeah,
'cause
and
I haven't played them.
I was kind of down on Nier because I thought that the best part of their team was working on Scalebound.
Never heard of that.
Oh, well, it just got canned.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It was the
don't
Microsoft
need to hear
exclusive
about it,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to hear about it.
That's
It
too bad.
Pretty much doesn't exist.
Fair
but
enough.
that was the bulk of their team working on that, and then Nier Automata coming out.
Oh.
But hopefully that game gets good Metacritic scores, which it does. And Kevin, so let's continue talking about Zelda Breath of the Wild. Do you have anything more to say about it?
No,
goes
not too
gravity.
much. I figured we'd talk about the game
Yep.
a bit too, which we already did.
Yeah, whole bunch.
And
Yes.
Now,
yeah.
it is also playable on the Switch, and the Switch is having some Joycon issues.
Yeah, so we mentioned this before. I didn't have too many details, so I didn't look into it too much. But
Yeah.
I have more details now.
Yes.
The Switch left Joy-Con has been problematic.
Ooh.
There's been some issues with the Bluetooth thing in it.
Yeah.
So somebody actually went and they took their Switch apart,
Okay, they did it.
namely the controllers.
Yeah.
And what they found was that the Bluetooth dongle thing
Mm-hmm.
for the Switch's left Joy-Con was put on the PCB, so the board,
Yeah.
immediately next to the analog stick.
Okay.
The analog stick has a big metal casing,
Yeah.
so it's doing a little bit of a Faraday cage thing to the Bluetooth signal,
Okay.
which is
How
why
would they not have caught that?
I don't know. There's been some real questionable quality assurance.
Wow.
too bad, 'cause I just bought
Nintendo's
a
usually
Switch.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known that before I bought a Switch. I just bought it on the Wii U.
But I've heard that there are some patches coming out that are helping this. Is that confirmed?
I don't know. It's pretty much a hardware issue.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. How would a patch
Well,
even
we'll
help?
see.
Yeah. Well, I thought I heard about a patch through IGN, but who knows sometimes.
Maybe the little
It's
patch
IGN,
that
yeah.
ups the power output to
Yeah.
the Bluetooth thing.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. But the funny thing is, the guy who took it apart is like, oh, well, if that's the issue, and then he took a copper wire, wrapped it around,
Yeah.
and then put it off to the side, or pointed it
Yeah,
away
yeah,
from
yeah,
the joystick, and then the range on it actually increased to well beyond what a PS4 is capable
Oh,
of.
interesting.
For
Nice.
its Bluetooth controllers.
Nice.
Not bad. So the hardware is
That's
there.
awesome.
They just didn't know
So,
how to
yeah,
implement it
if-
properly.
If you're having big issues and you want to fix it, you can take that apart.
Yeah,
get
great.
a little bit of copper wire.
Brilliant. I'll get you to do it because I'm not much of a massive techie person. I basically put my PC together, but that's only because it's effectively Lego with switches.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Kevin got me to do it, and I was like, oh, I did it.
It's easy, yeah.
It was awesome. Yeah. So that's a little concerning. How do you feel about that, Sam?
Not great.
Sorry for concerning you.
No worries, no worries. I'll find out about it one way or another.
Yeah.
It's good to know that I'm not alone if I do have that issue. But I just bought a Switch, and as I say, it's waiting for me at UPS. But yeah, I don't know. I may end up getting the Pro Controller because apparently it works natively on the PC anyway. So it's another example.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I've heard a lot of really good things about it. Like,
that's the thing. So another.
Because
Because I like the Xbox controller on a PC, but because I mean, in some games like Dark Souls, for example, you pretty much, I don't know, don't get me wrong, I've only had a bit of experience with Dark Souls on the PC, and I remember you guys are big Dark Souls people.
A little bit.
See, the thing is, I tried it with a mouse and keyboard, and then I abruptly stopped.
Yeah.
Whereas certain games like Dragon's Dogma and Resident Evil 4 have great PC controls.
Okay.
This one, in general, in a lot of games like that, you need a controller. Where the Xbox controller works, I do want more options though. So this excites me. Even if it's $79.99, I might wait until it's $59.99. But even at that price, I'll probably buy it.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how pricey some of the controllers.
Yeah, controllers are very expensive these days.
They took the dock off of the store.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What?
the $80 dock. They took it off the store.
Why? Why is that?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of like they didn't like publish a reason for it or anything, so it's mostly just speculation from people about why it got taken off. But apparently, like it's really really flimsy.
Oh.
Yeah, like this really like kind of cheap feeling plastic. There's almost
I've
no
heard
weight
that.
to it.
I was hoping it would kind of do a Galaxy Note on you. I don't mean I was hoping. I mean that would be a far more interesting explanation for. Yeah, did you hear? Oh, actually, no. Sorry, we're running.
No, go.
Okay,
no,
did you hear
no,
about
no.
this story where this guy on a plane changed his portable Wi-Fi network name to Galaxy Note 7 as a joke, and they have had to evacuate the aircraft. They actually treated it as a proper bomb threat, and they were looking for the person who did it.
Holy
it was a
shit.
stupid prank, but
Wow.
I gotta admit, at first when I heard it, I thought it was kind of funny, but then at the point where they evacuate an aircraft because of your joke, you gotta feel like a bit of an asshole.
A little bit. So did he end up getting jail time?
I'm not sure. I didn't hear the rest of that story. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it was BuzzFeed, and I have only a very, very low tolerance for BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
Click here to find out what happens next. Oh, okay, it's exactly what I thought. Thanks, BuzzFeed. But no, it's one of those things where I don't think I ended up hearing the rest of the story.
Right. No, fair enough.
Yeah, but no, he probably came forward because otherwise they ain't getting off the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the Galaxy Note 7, man. I hope Samsung gets
Wow.
back from that because
There's too many mother effing Note 7s on this mother effing plane. Let me
Yeah,
tell you
exactly. Yeah, one is too many.
what. Now, speaking of planes are in the sky. We got No Man's Sky, and it won the GDC Innovation Award. But the best part, the team was out to supper because they didn't think they'd win anything. Because let's be honest, why would they think they'd win something?
How to effectively, innovatively defraud everybody. No, seriously, my opinions of No Man's Sky are not. Don't get me wrong, I haven't played it.
Yeah.
So I don't really have as much of a reason to be pissed off as so many other people. But the point where, and don't get me wrong, part of it is the reason is how Sean Murray reacted to it, playing the victim card repeatedly, like being, if you could have lived our lives for the past month, yeah, man, look, here's the thing. If we're pissed off at you, it's because you did something really stupid and then tried to cover it up, and then you're pretending that we're all being big meanies.
Right.
But anyway, so the issue is not that they promised a hype that they couldn't deliver on. Join the club, frankly.
Yeah.
It's the same. I mean, I'm expecting the same thing with Breath of the Wild. Nothing could be as good as the hype. I'm expecting it to be great.
Yeah.
And apparently it is really great. But
But you're hearing from everyone it's getting
see,
10s,
the hype
perfect
is
game.
just perfect
No, I
10s,
getcha.
perfect. It
Yeah.
can't be a perfect game,
Yeah.
really. Now I may be wrong. I mean, if I come back later, I might be like, no, I was wrong. Perfect game.
You'd be over the fucking moon if
no,
you were wrong, though,
no
right?
more. Yeah, exactly. It'd be great. But it's not just that he promised things that he promised, like, a certain amount of level of gameplay people were expecting, and then it didn't live up to their expectations. It's that he lied about the things that were in the game. There was, from what I remember, there was no multiplayer. And he said that there was.
Yeah, not really any multi.
Yeah, see, that's if you're actually that's why at the moment their studio, I think, is being investigated for fraud in the European Union. They're not in America because you can basically fraud anybody if you're a company. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. I may be wrong, but at least there's somewhere where they're being investigated.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a stretch.
Oh,
of
okay,
it.
okay, I didn't know that.
I think it's already been resolved too.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
it was basically just saying like the gameplay trailers that are currently on their store pages. There was basically an argument put forward that they included some information that wasn't like actually in the game.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yep.
But then they were cleared of that.
Fair enough. Now, as for to be fair to their team, embellishing gameplay footage is not something that's new.
Yeah,
You see an E3 thing and you're like, oh yeah, I bet this is what the game's
There's a whole
look
term for it called bullshots.
That's like, I read that term for the first time yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's a great term.
Just as a little update to that, so just looking into it here, it was under investigation as of released on September 28th,
Right.
And as of November 30th, it was cleared in its false advertising investigation.
Okay, that's good.
That doesn't mean that they weren't potentially doing dubious things. They just weren't actually charged for fraud.
Right. Fair enough. Okay.
But yeah, so they won the Innovation Award. How the fuck did that happen?
I don't know.
It's the Game Developers Conference, so maybe they
probably
were just
felt bad.
rewarding.
That's what I'm thinking.
They were
probably felt sorry
rewarding
for
their
them.
commitment
Yeah.
to creating such a procedurally generated
And then trying
universe.
to fix it.
I mean, what they did was cool.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is cool.
sure.
Yeah,
And
But
I will
it was
buy
just
if it's
hyped out
over,
the
like, $30,
wazoo.
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then there's, I think the thing is, a lot of the reason that people were so outraged is they kind of might have expected Star Citizen from it.
Yeah, which, I mean, they're not going to get, given the size of the team.
Yeah, no, I know.
The
Given
team
that
is
Star
definitely
Citizen
not.
doesn't even exist.
Yeah,
yet.
exactly.
Not yet.
Exactly.
It is an alpha, but don't get me wrong. It could still be vaporware for all we know. We've been burned before.
Yeah, we have no idea.
So, just because there's a
Yeah.
playable alpha doesn't mean that it'll ever, come to fruition. So,
Yeah, I think I came into No Man's Sky, bought it first day, and I was excited for it, but I had at least what I think were realistic expectations, and it lived up and exceeded those expectations because I knew it wasn't going to be life-changing.
yeah, this
and
butthole
you could
blasting
do
amazing
everything.
experience that everybody
Exactly.
Was,
I knew it was going to basically come down to, grinding the same couple of things. I didn't know the ending was going to be so disappointing, whereas when you
that's
get
too
to
bad.
the middle of the universe, it just sets you back again.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to ruin that for
No,
you, but
that's
it's,
okay.
it's
I will play it eventually.
but it's a pretty fucking disappointing
Is it
thing to
safe
discover.
to say, by the way, that it is essentially Minecraft in space?
Pretty much.
Okay, then perfect. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Now I will again. As I say, I'll wait for some patches and I'll wait for it to go down in price and all that sort of thing. But if because I love Minecraft.
I will be honest with you, though. It's not, as far as like the survival elements, I wouldn't say it's as deep as Minecraft. I mean,
Okay,
you
fair
can't
enough.
make your own, as of right now, at least as far as I understand, you can't make your own house.
Oh, I see. So you can't actually have a base. You're basically
I
going
think-
hop planet.
But I
hop.
think
Did
you can
bases get added?
maybe. Yeah,
It was one of the first things they
Yeah.
were looking at adding.
I gotta admit, I love base building.
They've been doing some great updates for it, free updates, in
I hope
attempt
so.
to try and attempt to try and like say we fucked up.
We're really
we
sorry.
really fucked up.
Yeah, it's like the
Because-
ending of Mass Effect 3 that they vetoed. We're really fucking sorry edition.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm interested to see what we'll get from Hello Games in the future.
Oh, sure.
I don't know. You know what I
No.
mean? And like, how will people react to that?
Yeah.
Will
they trust them again?
Yeah. Will
Yeah.
they be dead or will they not? I don't know. I hope not. I think they are a talented team.
Oh, sure.
I think they can produce some great stuff.
Yeah.
Just don't make your fucking skyscraper game as your second big game.
Yes,
Invest
yeah.
in
You know,
PR a
it's-
little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then don't have the person on Twitter be a petulant little twat about it when people are upset.
Yeah. Sean.
To be fair, that's actually no. I'm not going to.
No, I
talk
get
about
you.
American politics.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay, like Trump, have someone subcontract out someone to do your Twitter account, man. Anyway, sorry, that's all I'm going to say.
No, absolutely, man.
Sorry, knock the microphone there.
Yeah, no, totally fine. Now, something you were talking about was Star Citizen. Now, Star Citizen, correct me if I'm wrong, that was like a super successul Kickstarter
Yes,
project.
it was. It was.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if it was specifically Kickstarter, mind you. They have their own website. I think it's robertsonspaceindustries.com. But I think they asked for something like, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but I think they raised maybe about 100 times what they were asking for because
Holy
it became
shit.
this kind of something like that. Whereas I forgot to turn my phone on to do not disturb
Don't
mode.
worry about it. If you hadn't called it out, no one would have noticed.
Yeah, that's to be fair. Yeah, I do tend to do that a lot. Yeah.
No, totally okay.
But
totally
no,
okay.
see that's the thing with Star Citizen. Everybody's massively excited for it, and it's actually one of the reasons I built my PC in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong, my PC at the moment cannot run it. I'm not that rich.
Really?
Well, it wouldn't be able to because I'm being the specs are. It's one of those kind of benchmark games like Crysis 2 used to be, and now I think for the mainstream it's The Witcher 3, which is kind of benchmark to see what your PC can actually do. The specs are immense.
Yo,
for Star Citizen, yeah.
This game raised $115 million.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's
what the fuck?
because I mean, at the beginning with the hype train, everybody was massively on board with it because it's. Well, that's the thing. I compare it a lot to the hype for No Man's Sky. People were kind of expecting this to be. See that? Look at the stretch goals, and the site itself is amazingly designed.
Jesus fucking Christ!
And they have people with and that's the thing about these crowdfunding things. You kind of have to look at the team and see what they produced before. And in this case, this is kind of the gold standard because they've worked on things like Wing Commander and I think that's the one. They have like a whole bunch of people from other studios who have genuine experience actually making and producing games. And with Kickstarter and whatnot, the main thing is producing it because even if you can make a game, I don't think you quite know what goes into producing it.
These stretch goals are ridiculous.
You just keep scrolling down, and they keep
because at every million they're like, we can't pass this million. Okay, we can't pass this million.
Yeah,
though.
see, that's the thing, because everybody was so excited, and it's one of those things. It's almost, I wouldn't necessarily call it a cultural phenomenon, but in terms of gaming, it is very, very close. So you keep scrolling down. You've been scrolling down for the past minute or so, and
yes,
they keep meeting their stretch goals and smashing through to the next threshold.
Oh my God, the team must have been like, we're really happy, but we have to deliver on all this.
But see, that's the thing. It's one of those things. People are like, what do they do with all this money? They can't just. I mean, once they've made the game that they want to make, their dream game, then they can't just put more money into it. Liquid money will make it better. They have to figure out a way to do it. It's not like I just finished level 3 and tighten up the graphics.
The game's going to come with a kitchen sink, right?
Well, exactly. And it's one of those things. They've raised so much money that I don't think they're going to know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And at this point, I think with Kickstarter, if you raise more money, then you can't just you can't find a way to send it back to everybody. So you keep it and you use it for either your next project or just buy a whole bunch of hookers and cocaine.
Which is always a good way to go.
Yeah,
you gotta celebrate.
Definitely.
You gotta.
Yeah, because these guys. I mean,
yourself.
once they come out with the actual even the beta, I think the open beta kind of thing, I think they have a reason to celebrate because this is something. And as long as it's not disappointing, because the alpha is not immensely playable from what I've heard.
It's only bits and pieces of what the game is supposed to be.
Okay,
right.
And that's a big problem with this game is it's very pie in the sky.
Yes,
super pie in the sky.
You have to be worried about vaporware kind of thing.
Like full-featured FPS with shit flying and space buildings, shit like that.
And
full-on MMO economy.
Yeah, and
full-on MMO game.
Apparently, Elite Dangerous and what is it, EVE Online or whatever, does something like this. They have their own kind of space piratey kind of space battle. I don't know, but I've never played either of them. But apparently, it's a
Elite
similar.
Dangerous links up with EVE.
Does it in any way? Because I haven't played either of them.
I think you're thinking of Dust 514.
That might have been it.
Yeah, Dust 514 did link up with EVE, and it was terrible.
Really? That's unfortunate.
It was I don't know. It was a first-person shooter game that had interactions with Dust 514. So basically, with
that's
EVE.
Weird.
So with EVE, you could take forth and conquer planets, and then in Dust 514, you were playing as one of the mercenaries who was helping conquer those planets.
I like that better.
Very cool concept.
Yes, definitely.
Very cool concept. It's just the game wasn't very good.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah,
it's always sad when you see a good concept ruined by poor execution.
Yeah, but the idea of it was cool, so that you could have an EVE player drop in a care package, and then that care package would actually come because they're backing you, right?
Right. Yeah. They're kind of evil, well, not evil, but kind of conglomerate with all the money who's funding your mercenary company. I love the idea.
You'd be like, Daddy Warbucks, I really need something, and then they give you something. You're like, thank God.
Have a new assault rifle. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. No, that's a great idea.
It was a cool concept.
Unfortunately, when it's ruined by poor execution, it's not a great game.
Now, Kevin, do you think moving forward with games like this, because I hope that's the future, will we be able to achieve that through technical limitations, or what do you think?
I don't know. Some level, there's always going to be a scope issue.
Yeah.
It's you need to make all of this shit. You need to make it all work together. The more you add, the more complexities. And, it just blows up the scope a huge amount. I really feel like we're getting, awkwardly close to that point. Just with, all the graphical fidelity that we can put into games and stuff now. And, obviously, there's still improvements to be made to processes to make those things easier.
Yeah.
Or more easily and stuff, and procedural could maybe take care of some of the work for us,
right?
Or AI shit, but there's a big wall there that we are quickly approaching.
Yeah.
That I think will limit the size and scopes of games.
Interesting. So now, like you said, procedural may help with that. So do you think that some of the tech used in No Man's Sky could help with, you know what I mean? How they're creating environments and things like that, or?
From what I understand, No Man's Sky didn't really do much new.
Really?
They just put a bunch of known things into a video game.
They won the award for innovation. They must have done something. Or maybe
the first time they put it into a video game that shipped it as a AAA title.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where they innovated.
I mean, with limitations, it's we have a universe as big as our universe. How about you fuck off, Sean Murray? Because frankly, that's impossible.
Yeah. Well,
it's quite big.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's good.
Given the math that's involved there. But just because it's big doesn't necessarily mean it's, you know what I mean? It could be a mile wide and an inch deep.
Now, don't get me wrong. He could have been exaggerating, but I mean, I would hope that he'd made that clear.
Yeah.
He was exaggerating about it being as big as our universe. Now, don't get me wrong. If anybody believed that, they're stupid. So if they were fooled, then,
I wouldn't say it's as big as our universe, but it's quite truly massive. I mean,
interesting.
Not all of it will ever be discovered, just given the variety of things. I mean, but it depends on what you define as like this planet can look almost identical to this planet, except it can have a mountain slightly different.
See, but Spore
you know what
did
I mean?
that in 2008, wasn't it? Like where you basically you have this big universe of like you know thousands of planets. You could go to all of them, but that doesn't mean they're all interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get me wrong, I love Spore, but you know, yeah.
I think the best part about Score is probably the character creator.
Yeah,
it's so
you gotta
good.
love that.
It's
and
so
I mean,
good.
A lot of the games, like the kind of half-baked RTS game, and I like the creature stage the best, and I think everybody did.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, Spore's real cool.
Yes.
So now, talking about crowdfunding, you were talking to me about something with Capcom.
Yeah, now again, I don't actually know the veracity of this specifically, so I may be wrong, but I have heard this from other gamers that at one point there was speculation that because the first time I was ever on this show, I talked about Dragon's Dogma and how it compared to Dark Souls, see, the thing is, there was talk about Capcom, or the studio behind Dragon's Dogma at least, crowdfunding Dragon's Dogma 2. And, of course, the real reaction to that is, why would you do this? Because, see, one thing that Capcom has said is that they're waiting for feedback from PC gamers before they consider making Dragon's Dogma 2. And, see, the thing is, I think Dragon's Dogma 2 sold something like 1.4 million copies on the PC. And this is, in my case, for example, I already had it on the PS3. I was just really excited to play it in something above 30 frames per second. And it delivered.
Yeah.
And I mean, as I say, the PC controls are great. Everything about the port was fantastic. But the problem is, if you get into the point where you're crowdfunding games you should be able to make because you know that there is enough market for it, you shouldn't crowdfund them because you don't need to. Particularly if you're a big producer. Because by the time of Dragon's Dogma, I mean, I don't know exactly its budget, but it did. Looking at it, you can tell it had quite a budget.
Right.
You know, and it had a whole bunch of like goofy anime bullshit and a lot of flaws. But you know, at the same time, it was a game people were very excited for, and it did very well. And there is a temptation there to crowdfund things you probably shouldn't have to.
So now, I guess, where does the moral aspect of that come down? Where do we draw the line in the sand? I don't know. That's neither, a tough frankly, one, right?
Because it's one of those things where I think the thing is, if you're crowdfunding a sequel, you shouldn't, because you know already by how well the first one did whether or not there is enough of an interest for a sequel, unless your studio runs out of money, which I don't think happened here. Again, as I say, I don't know for sure.
Right.
But unless your studio runs out of money and you're like, okay, well, this is our last grasp at glory and we know that people want this game, but we need help. That's fine. However, if you are... I don't know what's going on with Capcom, because I talked about Deep Down and this thing that this game that is practically everything I've ever wanted. And full disclosure, I have watched the trailer and wept before.
Really?
Yes, it's everything I've ever wanted in a video game. It's the dungeon crawling aspect is kind of like Dark Souls, but I hope I get out alive and saying I really hated the controls of Dark Souls 1. I didn't like the gameplay, frankly, of Dark Souls 1 at all. Everything else about it was amazing. But it has this kind of Assassin's Creed thing of going into the past based on these relics. And everybody's so excited. But it was 2013 when there was the first reveal trailer, and they keep extending the trademark, but they haven't said anything else about it.
I mean, I assume at this point it's almost canned, is it not?
Might be. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they wouldn't like maybe people have said, oh, but extending the trademark is a sign of something. Maybe it's just a sign they don't want anyone else to use it.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just jerks. And it's one of those things where if people are saying, yeah, this is probably canned, and then you don't come out and say something about that, then maybe it is. And it's too bad, because as I say, if I hate to introduce people to this, if they haven't heard of Deep Down and they go and look up the trailers and they find it's all they've ever wanted, because that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
It's one of even the first trailer at the end of it says, let me give you a little advice. Drop it for your own sake. And I'm like, I can't. Stop. Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
At the end of it says that. And I'm like, maybe is that prophetic? But no.
Quite possibly.
It's one of those things where they haven't told you anything about it. Now, if they crowdfunded it, don't get me wrong, I would think, oh, you bastards, and I'd give them my money. I'd still give them my money, because I would pay for this game to be made so I could buy it, even if I didn't get the game itself with that. Because anyway, it's just something that I'm so interested in. But that's a temptation, and there's really no reason, apart from what I consider to be an ethical one, to not crowdfund something when you could just get money from people who would buy it anyway.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's happened a lot, but it is a temptation that I think a lot of people, particularly indie developers, have when they have made other games.
No, I understand that entirely.
So anyway,
no, you speaking about this reminds me of something. I actually, just the other day, I was listening to Colin Moriarty talk to Jason Schreier from Kotaku, and he's probably the best part about Kotaku. If I know some people,
if there is a part about Kotaku that's
you
good.
know what though, they do post a lot of crap, but they actually are the only website that is actually doing investigative journalism, and sometimes that pisses people off, and that gets them blacklisted sometimes.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I do have a journalism diploma, and the investigative part is not what bothers me. The part of I don't want to be too divisive, but I dislike the idea of catering to SJWs in gaming. Now, don't get me wrong, having strong female protagonists, I have no problem with.
I understand that entirely.
However, you got to know what happened with Borderlands and when they started actually listening to these people, and then it's never enough. Whereas people like Hideo Kojima also apologize for these things. Yeah, but Quiet breathed through her skin. Yeah, but you didn't need to put her in skimpy clothing, but you did anyway. Fine, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas the guy for Dragon's Crown, I think, was just like, no, I just like big titties.
Yeah,
and I mean, Japanese game developers really have no desire to cater to Western protest. But anyway, I digress.
No, totally fine. I totally forgot you had a degree in journalism. Anyway.
I do, yeah, and I'm not so certain I'll use it for anything because, as I say, I have a degree in journalism, and I'm going to have an English degree, and I'm going to be joining the Navy, and then maybe opening up a shop.
Up a shop of what?
Knives, probably. For some reason I like knives.
I noticed that on
whole
Facebook,
bunch of I have a whole bunch of different things. I have two multi-tools in my pocket and a folding knife. For some reason I find them to be immensely useful things, and I think I can blame Resident Evil 4 for that. Seeing that
really,
Leon, I actually have his knife. It's a $500 semi-custom combat knife.
Holy fucking shit!
It's called the Mercworks Sniper, and it's a brilliant thing. But
do you have it here?
No, I didn't bring it because I thought bringing knives to someone's house.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
I will.
Yeah,
definitely. I have several. I have quite a few, including a $300 folding knife called a Spyderco Valaton. But this is one of the reasons that I don't have a very nice apartment because because I live with two roommates and I pay about $400 a month in rent, including everything, so I can buy knives and games.
Wow.
But anyway, so yeah, I have his knife. But the thing is, he uses knife for practically everything in the game, including things that you shouldn't use the knife for, like bashing a lock open with the blade of it. Handle, fine. Yeah, opening boxes, all that stuff.
Knife.
Well, exactly, and that's one of the things I liked about it. But anyway, that's my reasoning because it ties into gaming a little.
Okay.
But yeah, so I might not use my degree, but actually no. To be fair, I use it every day. I love to think about these things, even if I'm a bit sick of coursework.
Awesome,
anyway,
man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, what I was saying about Jason Schreier,
right?
No, totally fine. Is he was talking? He's releasing a book soon, and whatever. I'm not really going to plug it here, but he was talking with Yacht Club Games, and if you don't know them, they made Shovel Knight. And Shovel Knight is fantastic. Now, a lot of that team was on Way Forward, and they moved away from Way Forward.
Shantae.
Exactly. Yes.
What a great game.
What a great game indeed.
Series in general.
Yeah, what a great game indeed. And, they made Blood Rain Betrayal. They made a bunch of really good games. They made the DuckTales remaster as well. They made a ton of shit. So anyway, they come from Way Forward, and they want to make their own game. Now, they're going to different studios, and they're saying, listen, we want to handle all of the promotion for this game because we're making cool games, but I feel like they're not marketed right. That's what they were saying.
Okay.
And so they ended up going, I forget the name of the company, and they could have worked a deal it with them. And they're like, well, maybe we will, but maybe we won't because they want to have full rights to owning everything in it and specifically the marketing of the game.
Right.
They think that's the most important part for them. So they decided to go Kickstarter, and it worked out for them clearly. I mean, now they're making all their money off. They own that IP.
Brilliant.
They own Shovel Knight. So now Shovel Knight is also going to be a playable, or not necessarily a playable character, but he's going to be involved in Yooka-Laylee as well.
Yep.
That's what I've heard. I'm really interested. The way I see it with crowdfunding with certain people, if you've made Shantae and Shovel Knight, if you've made Shantae in general, if you want to make a platformer, you get my money.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't backed it, but I mean, I didn't know it was a Kickstarter until it was already made.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
I
mean, particularly at this point, if you want to crowdfund a platformer and you've made Shantae and Shovel Knight, then you're pretty much proven yourselves to be very, very competent.
But that being said, if they crowdfund Shovel Knight 2, I'm going to be pissed.
They shouldn't. Exactly. That's my point.
No reason for that.
Shovel Knight is like they have it on the Wii U. I've played it on the Wii U. It's great. I played it on the computer. It's great. I pirated it on the computer. I must admit. But I did play it on the Wii U, and actually I didn't pay for that either because that was my roommate's. But no, it's a great game. And of course, Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, particularly, everything about it, except really the gameplay is a bit lackluster. But the characters, the dialogue, the music is so good. Particularly Run Run Roddy Tops, where you're carrying the zombie girl. Like that's one of my favorite pieces of music in it. Because it's anyway. But I could gush about that game for a while. But it is a fantastic game.
So one reason that developers might want to crowdfund, despite having super successful games. So let's look at like Shovel Knight, for example. Did they actually profit enough money, like pure profit, sitting in their bank accounts
to make another
to make Shovel Knight 2?
Right.
I don't know. And if they didn't, then was it an issue of mismanagement or was it an issue of not making enough money? We don't know. I guess
an issue. It's probably just not possible.
Right.
Generally,
I guess not.
The end profit of a game is usually quite small. Really? And for a sequel, you usually want to up the budget.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So
fair
where do they get that extra money from?
They should be able to find a publishing deal, right? They should
with
be able
Shovel
to
Knight. With Shovel Knight,
If they go with a publishing deal, they have to give up some control.
Do they though? I mean,
but if it's a proven quantity, is that the case?
Can't they kind of set their own?
Pretty rough.
Yeah.
Pretty rough.
I guess so.
Kind of stuff.
But like, look at Shovel. Like, I don't know.
Well, see, the thing is, like,
if someone said, "I'm going to let you have a piece of Shovel Knight's profits, but you have to let me handle all the marketing," I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah,
now, don't get me wrong. I'm also not a game producer, so I actually don't know what goes in.
That sounds great, but like those other companies, they want a little bit more than that. They're
right.
Like, okay, we'll fund Shovel Knight 2. We'll do the marketing. But you have to sign on for Shovel Knight 3, Shovel Knight 4.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And then the franchise becomes shit.
It ties them into doing stuff. And like doing other stuff.
That's
like,
fair.
You need to do 5 DLCs and we're going to take 75% profits on DLC.
No, please don't.
You know,
you get to paint your shovel a different color with the mystery boxes.
Apparently the Shovel Knight DLC has been really good.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. But you know, that's one of the reasons that one of the a developer like that would want to go to crowdfunding again.
Yeah, that's
despite
fair.
having a super successful product.
That's understandable.
So now I think a company that we should definitely talk about while we're getting on this topic is Double Fine, right?
Double Fine. Give me an example.
Okay, so so Double Fine, formed by Tim Schafer, and from LucasArts.
Yeah,
way back in the day, made a ton of games. And
Psychonauts, yeah,
exactly. Psychonauts. Oh yes, now they're making
3D
Psychonauts
platformers
2.
I did not know this, believe it or not. I've been living under several rocks because to be fair, I don't trust gaming journalism.
Fair enough.
This is. See, I was actually going to make a joke when if I ever got onto the topic of 3D platformers, Psychonauts 2 never, and then I was like, oh my god.
You didn't know that? Wow.
I did not, believe it or not. As I say, several different rocks.
That's okay. It's now okay. So, Double Fine, back in I'm gonna say 2012, came out with a big Kickstarter for what was called Broken Age Adventure. Double Fine Adventure, which eventually became Broken Age. If you know it, it's an adventure game, pretty fun, and it's got like Elijah Wood and Jack Black and a bunch of other great actors. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good game if you like adventure games.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, it's pretty funny actually. Anyway,
well, it'd have to be if it has Jack Black.
Exactly. But this so with Psychonauts 2, they also went down the crowdfunded route, but they're using Fig. Now, what do we think about Fig? See, with Fig, it allows the person to get investment on the actual product, and they get returns on their investment.
Oh, really? So you become effectively a crowdfunded shareholder?
Yes, you actually become a shareholder in this product, and if it does well, then you get money in it, which I think...
How much do you have to put in?
I think it's certain SKUs or certain amounts for you to get a share, but you get a proportional amount based upon what you put in.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, which would have been great for something like, let's say, Oculus, when the Oculus Rift, and then they get that big $1 billion buyout by Facebook. You know what I mean? Whereas the original backers got nothing.
I still might feel bad about it though, because Oculus Rift was like, oh man, I get to fuck anime girls. I mean, sorry, oh man, I get to play great video games in VR, and now it's like a Facebook thing.
Yes. Yeah, so what do we think about this?
About VR?
People being actual investors.
I like the idea. I mean, don't get me wrong. It remains to be seen, because I've just heard about it. I've never heard of Fig.
No, for sure.
It remains to be seen whether or not it'll be handled well.
I think
but
it's
I
good.
like the idea
and,
a
Project
lot.
Cars actually did that.
Yes, Project Cars did as well. Yes.
Yeah, they didn't use Fig.
Not Fig. They did
their
themselves.
own kind of managed thing. Yeah. But yeah, it was really interesting. It seemed to work out pretty well.
Very nice.
It's a little bit complicated, like internationally.
I can imagine.
Because then people are making profits, and how do you handle that money flow going around? And
Mr. Trump, shut down this internet.
Yeah, because at that point it's like a multinational corporation almost.
Yeah, kind of.
It probably gets some weird laws. Yeah.
That's interesting. That I think is the main obstacle to this sort of thing.
Yeah, well, it would have to be, right?
It would. I mean, the multi-country legality, like with finance, is just I could not even begin to study it.
Yeah, and then through having the internet kind of making the flat world situation that we have right now, like it's just not that I'm saying there's a flat Earth. Don't quote me as saying there's a flat Earth. I did not say that. Anyway,
if I do make a YouTube poop of this, though, you will be saying that.
Perfect. A YouTube poop of a podcast. I don't think that.
I don't think that would work either. Frankly, I've tried to do things with just sound, and it doesn't work as well.
No. You need to have the video, right?
Well, most certainly.
Now, I wasn't sure if you'd want to get into this, but do you want to talk about some YouTube stuff just before we end up?
Because I'll be linking this, and chances are you'll get a lot of new followers who are very nice people. Yeah. Apart from my troll. And
you have one troll, do you?
Yes, I do. And he's a Holocaust denier, because if you have a troll, he might as well be a Nazi. No, but seriously, I have this guy who is impersonating me on Twitter constantly. He has at one point he had about 5 different ChickenPika Twitter accounts. Now I don't have a Twitter account.
What the hell?
I never will, because I don't particularly like Twitter. Yeah, now I certainly never will now.
Yes.
But he's been photoshopping like Michael Rosen at his son's grave smiling. Like I'm like, this is
What the hell?
despicable shit. And people look at this thing and
that's
think,
terrible,
well, you're
actually.
making fun of this guy.
Yeah.
Well, not particularly. See, I absolutely love this guy. I spend most of my time when I'm making my YouTube hoops actually watching his videos. But to be fair, that's a threshold that I can't convince a lot of people of, that I actually don't want to make fun of him as a person. He just has a lot of great material to work with.
Yeah.
Just because I make him say really vulgar things doesn't mean I dislike him. He just happens to be the best source at the moment that lends itself to a lot of jokes because I've pretty much memorized it. But anyway, sorry. What were you going to actually ask?
For sure. No, what I was just going to say is like, how you doing all that? How's it going, man?
I just released another one. I
saw it. It was really funny, actually.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Job.
I appreciate
like
that. And but it's been a while since I've made them, and I've kind of fallen into kind of a JonTron thing.
I saw you posted that on Facebook. You're like, sorry to my YouTube followers. I'm just playing a lot of video games right now.
That's exactly it. And I want to be honest about it. Whereas John, don't get me wrong, John Jafari. Jafari does sound kind of like a fake Arabic name.
That's his
frankly.
last name?
Yeah, John
Apparently.
Jafari.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those things that people are like, I want to be Arabic. I'm going to choose an Arabic name. But they're like, that's not really an Arabic name. Anyway, but no, he's been like, I have to eat Chipotle a lot. It takes up a lot of my time. But for me, it's just honestly, it's just video games, work. But don't get me wrong, it's not. I could easily do this in my spare time. It's just I'm a lazy, procrastinating son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually even take that long to make these videos. I say that guardedly because I know that only a select few of my subscribers will come over here, but it'll be enough. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no,
to make it worthwhile having me up with my rambling bullshit on your show.
Dude, no, I'm gonna shut that down right now. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank
you. Seriously, I really like
self-deprecation is how I handle my sense of humor.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But no, it's one of those things where I'm just lazy. But whenever I make a new one, I'm like, I gotta do this more often because you even notice my subscribers are really nice people.
They're really nice.
Yeah, they're very polite.
Yeah.
It's like it's a giant room full of Canadians.
Yeah.
It's they've all been really good to me. Every once in a while you get this comment saying, oh, gay as fuck, and you're like, well, whatever, man, I don't care. But most of the time it's all praise or constructive criticism, and it's a brilliant thing. And it's actually, honestly, if you have the skill to edit this sort of thing, YouTube poops are nothing, because I have very little editing skill.
I don't know if I'd have the mind for it, but...
See, the thing is, for me... I'm a very lazy YouTuber. If you look into people like Robin, formerly known as Rob GBA, like people who are capable of doing like these YTPMVs, YouTube music videos.
Oh yeah,
and taking samples from different things. Like at the moment, she's doing a lot of anime stuff and making it into a song. It's unbelievable. She recently did a remake of this Final Fantasy VI's Decisive Battle with the anime Gabriel Dropout. I can't do that sort of thing. I think I might even be tone deaf in a little way when it comes to well, not really, but when it comes to that sort of shifting. But really, it doesn't take a lot of editing talent. So I tell people who are interested in it, just try it out. Pirate Sony Vegas, and I do say pirate it because it's about $500. And if you're not sure that you want to use it. I don't know if there's a lot you can't say that because I don't know if you're like a YouTube partner or something. So maybe if
we're so small.
Okay,
it's all good.
Fair enough. So no. Normally I wouldn't encourage piracy, but in this case, actually yes, I would.
I will take. I would definitely. Ground.
Yeah.
I would recommend Movie Studio,
which is what we use.
We use, and it's.
Fantastic.
$60 to $90.
Really? Not
depending
bad.
on which version you get. Even the minimum version's fine.
Exactly.
Okay,
it uses essentially the same running code as Vegas. And the biggest difference really is, you guys, you don't get multi-camera stuff and you don't get roto. That's it.
Yeah.
See, fair enough. I don't actually, as I say, I don't use cameras. At one point I did do a Q&A and
I saw that.
Yeah. And I kind of did the thing with the JonTron does with his old videos where I made them unlisted and kind of hope nobody would notice because I don't want to see my face on my own sidebar. I don't have face built for radio, so to speak. But no, it's one of those things where I don't. I prefer to be behind the editing studio as opposed to behind the camera. Although at the moment, I must admit, I don't really mind being behind the microphone either.
Yeah, you're doing a great job here, man.
I appreciate it. I have actually considered doing similar things, just without video specifically. Whether they be just, but it'd be kind of like a video log, but without the video. It would be an audio log kind of thing where I just talk about things. And the problem is when I'm editing it, I really hate the sound of my own voice. So, that's something even in journalism, I haven't gotten used to. Like I had it like on tape and all that. But to be fair, it is something because I feel like I have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And apparently people are actually interested in what I have to say. So
yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is strange. It is like when I go into my my personal sphere and people are like, Jesus, Sam, shut the fuck up. And then I go onto the internet and people are like, wow, this guy has some interesting opinions that either I want to hear about and laugh about or just want to hear about.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, but that's kind of gotten off the topic.
Yeah, no, totally fine. Before we shut this down, I just got to say, man, you're underselling yourself really hard there. With regards to what you do on your channel, I watch it and I'm glad. There's clearly a lot of work that goes on there.
There is, but it's I will say, and this is purely honest, that Each, like for example, the most recent video probably took around half an hour to 45 minutes of straight work. So it didn't actually take that long.
Okay.
Whereas
wow.
sentence mixing the Pulp Fiction reference, the Bible passage in the one of my subscriber specials, that took a very long time. That probably took around an hour straight work.
Really?
And I actually need to add that as an annotation because that's the one question I get on that video. The one comment is like, how long did that take?
Yeah.
So I really need to actually do that because I thought about it and I keep forgetting.
That's funny.
But yeah, it does take a long time if you're just straight sentence mixing because I know where all the syllables are. It's finding them and putting them in.
Right.
That's a pain. But it is a rewarding thing to do because you think of jokes all the time and you can't really turn it off.
Yeah. And I've been saying before I shut this down, but
Yeah, sure.
how long have you been doing this, man?
God, I think it's been since 2012, maybe. I remember in my I think it was my first year of university. But see, well, to be fair, I actually did make a few really crappy YouTube poops to begin with. I have a TV tropes page, believe it or not. I didn't do anything with that. Someone just made me a TV tropes page. One of those is something to do with like embarrassed about their own old work because I am, because they were crap because I made them in Windows Movie Maker and they were kind of like the old AIDS style, kind of really. I should point that out. AIDS is a term that is used in the YouTube pooping community to refer to really overused, like Legend of Zelda CDI stuff. I'm sure you're familiar with the really, really crazy cutscenes in those.
Yeah.
You know, gee, it sure is boring around here. Like those ones. They're hilarious, but you know, at the same time, they're overused. And I made a few of those, and they were shit. So I removed most of those, and but. No, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I made those early. I think that was around 2008 that I made the first one of those. And then the most popular one of those was about 9,000 views, which at the time was amazing to me.
Yeah, wow.
But I've gotten to around 1.5 million on my most viewed one. I have no idea how that happened.
Dude.
I don't even. At the moment, I'm past 30,000 subscribers. And
Yeah,
I'm
you're
still
at 31.
wondering how this happened because there's. And don't get me wrong, I realize the merit of my own work, but there are so many YouTubers who haven't broken the like 2K barrier.
Yeah.
Like including my friends, the Plums Joker and Root Negative 16 and Dylan Cliff. Well, no, sorry, Dylan Cliff has kind of taken off, but
right.
It's one of those things that for some reason in Michael Rosen YouTube pooping particularly, seem to be the most popular of all, which is quite an amazing and humbling thing. But when I say that I don't know how it happened, I'm not saying that I'm shit. I'm just saying that I don't know the process that went into it. Is it that my videos appear on the sidebar more? I actually have no idea.
Right.
Which is it's interesting because people actually have to click on it to see it and like it, right?
Yeah.
So people have to see it to click on it. So it might be some sort of glitch in YouTube's algorithm that have caused people to actually see my videos.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. But it has been quite rewarding.
Nice, man.
Thank you for the question.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Do you have anything to add here, Kev?
No, I don't think so.
Nice. Cool, guys. Okay, we're going to take off for this week. Thanks again for coming on, man.
No worries,
and
bud.
we will catch you guys next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Whew, that was good.
Yeah.